Semen retention, when practiced with discipline and awareness, becomes more than a lifestyle choice, becomes a conscious anchor that keeps a man rooted in strength, clarity, and self-control. The phrase conscious anchor reflects the way this practice grounds a man's energy, preventing him from being swayed by distractions, urges, or external pressures. In a world of constant overstimulation and temptation, many men feel like they are drifting, unable to hold focus or sustain motivation. This lack of control often leads to a cycle of indulgence, regret, and depletion, leaving them feeling weakened both physically and mentally. But semen retention, approached with mindfulness and safety, changes the trajectory of this cycle by transforming raw sexual energy into a stable foundation for growth. The key word here is safe, because retention is not about repression, but about redirection. When practiced responsibly paired with healthy outlets like exercise, meditation, and creativity, retention strengthens the body and mind rather than harming them. The man who learns to make this practice his anchor becomes unshakable, like a tree with deep roots, weathering life's storms with calm confidence. The first way semen retention acts as a conscious anchor is through its impact on vitality and focus. Modern science shows that semen is not just a fluid but a storehouse of vital nutrients, hormones, and energy. Frequent loss of this energy can leave a man feeling drained, foggy, and restless. But when he chooses retention, especially in a balanced and safe way, he feels his energy consolidate within him. His mornings start sharper, his thoughts clearer, and his actions more deliberate. This stable energy becomes the anchor for his daily life. He no longer wakes up feeling behind or spends his days chasing dopamine hits through endless scrolling, video games, or junk food. Instead, he feels anchored in discipline and purpose. Women, coworkers, and peers begin to notice the shift. He walks taller, listens better, and carries himself with an ease that communicates confidence. Importantly, this is not about suppressing desires, but about channeling them into higher pursuits. Safe semen retention demands that men build systems of self-care, strength training, journaling, meaningful work so the conserved energy becomes a source of creation, not frustration. The second anchor point is emotional stability. Many men who fail to master their urges also struggle with mood swings, impulsivity, and guilt. Their emotional state is often tied to their habits, which means that after indulgence, they feel drained and self-critical, and before indulgence, they feel anxious or restless. This roller coaster creates instability not only within themselves but also in their relationships. But semen retention, when consciously practiced, begins to smooth out these highs and lows. By choosing discipline over compulsion, men develop emotional patience. They learn to ride the waves of urges without being controlled by them. This emotional regulation communicates safety to others, especially women, who often gauge a man's leadership by how he handles stress. A calm man is a safe man, and a safe man is attractive and trustworthy. The conscious anchor of semen retention ensures that emotions are not bottled up, but instead are expressed in healthier ways through calm dialogue, creative projects, or focused problems. Over time, this stability becomes noticeable to everyone around him. He no longer reacts impulsively, but responds thoughtfully. And this makes him not only respected, but relied upon. Consider the case study of Raj, a 35-year-old software engineer who struggled with anxiety, depression, and relationship instability. Raj confessed that he often turned to instant gratification as a way to cope with stress. But each time he indulged, he felt more drained and guilty, creating a cycle that left him emotionally exhausted. His partner at the time expressed that she never felt truly safe with him because his moods were unpredictable, and he often seemed distracted or restless. After their breakup, Raj began exploring semen retention, first out of curiosity, then as a serious practice. The first weeks were difficult, but he paired retention with meditation, running, and creative writing. Slowly, he noticed profound changes. His energy was consistent, his emotions steadier, and his confidence more natural. At work, his colleagues remarked that he had become calmer under pressure and more focused on solutions. When he entered a new relationship a year later, his partner described him as grounded and safe to be around, highlighting that she could trust his presence even in difficult situations. Raj's case demonstrates how semen retention, when used as a conscious anchor, creates safety both within the man himself and for those connected to him. The third anchor point lies in purpose and direction. Men who drift without purpose often become slaves to their urges, because the absence of a mission leaves them vulnerable to distraction. Retention, however, compels men to think bigger. When energy is conserved, it naturally seeks expression, and if not given a higher outlet, it can become frustration. The conscious man recognizes this and uses semen retention as a way to redirect his energy toward goals, whether career ambitions, spiritual growth, or personal mastery. This sense of purpose becomes another anchor, keeping him steady even when life throws challenges his way. Purpose is magnetic. It radiates in a man's presence, and women instinctively recognize it as a marker of leadership and safety. A man anchored in purpose is not easily swayed by temptation or chaos. His discipline shields him from being controlled by the outside world. In fact, historical leaders, athletes, and thinkers across cultures have credited their self-mastery with allowing them to rise above mediocrity. Purpose transforms semen retention from a private discipline into a public strength. As the man's actions reflect his inner anchoring, finally, semen retention, as a conscious anchor, creates a spiritual safety net. For centuries, traditions across the world, from Taoist monks to yogis, have regarded sexual energy as sacred and transformative when preserved and redirected. This perspective sees semen not just as biological, but as spiritual essence, a life force that, when retained, connects a man more deeply to himself and to the world around him. In modern practice, this spiritual anchoring translates into a deeper sense of peace and alignment. Men often report feeling more intuitive, more connected to nature, and more attuned to their relationships. This spiritual presence is deeply reassuring to others because it communicates integrity and wholeness. A man anchored spiritually is less likely to betray, abandon, or harm. Because his discipline runs deeper than impulse, it is tied to meaning. When women encounter such a man, they feel an unspoken safety, not because of his words, but because of his aura. He becomes a safe harbor, someone whose presence itself feels like protection. This spiritual anchoring completes the circle. Physical energy, emotional balance, purposeful direction, and spiritual wholeness all converge, turning semen retention into a powerful and safe anchor for life. In conclusion, semen retention, when approached consciously and safely, serves as an anchor in a man's life, grounding him in vitality, emotional stability, purpose, and spiritual presence. It is not about denial or repression, but about redirection, transforming raw urges into a foundation of strength. The case of Raj shows how this practice can shift not only personal energy, but also the perception of others, creating a sense of safety and trust. Women, colleagues, and friends respond instinctively to the energy of a man who is anchored, because stability is rare and valuable. In a world that encourages men to drift in distractions and impulses, semen retention offers a way back to self-mastery and alignment. The conscious anchor steadies the ship of life, guiding men not just toward external success, but toward internal peace, making them stronger, calmer, and safer for themselves and those around them.